Hey everybody, so I've been getting a lot of questions about food sensitivity tests over the past week. So I don't know if somebody sent out an advertisement from a chiropractor or something like that in the mail and everybody's asking. But I addressed this years ago when they first started coming onto the scene, and I explained to you guys in detail why they're nonsense. But I keep a large library of information in my computer, from things I read to things I listen to, whether it be podcasts, YouTube videos, you name it, I keep it. So I dug these out for you guys just so that everybody can hear for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to play for you two things one that has to do with food sensitivity tests, and second, that has to do with allergies in general. And then I'm going to show you guys how the UTC manual addresses these things in detail with an actual methodology here. So first, listen to the food sensitivity test.
Come in, they say they want to get tested. They have very obscure or non-specific symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, and someone mentioned to them that they should do a food sensitivity test. What's your thought?
Yeah, there's a series called the Choosing Wisely series that was started by the American Board of Internal Medicine several years ago, and they partner with different specialties. And what they do is they basically put out, warnings for patients and physicians. These are the tests or treatments to avoid because they're harmful or not backed by evidence. Yeah. Number one on the list from the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology is don't perform IgG testing or indiscriminate IgE testing. So IgE tests for food allergy aren't screening tests either. And the reason it's number one is because IgG, which is what these food sensitivity tests measure, is not a test of sensitivity or allergy or intolerance. It's a memory antibody. Exposure, right. The normal human response to eating foods is you will produce IgG because you say, hey, I recognize you. It's a memory antibody. But a lot of companies are touting these food sensitivity tests that measure the specific IgG towards foods. And then when the results come back, they're all reported as elevated or indicative of a sensitivity. And what rarely gets you in the first place is it's like going to the fortune teller. You throw some vague things out there, and eventually you're going to find somebody that says, that's me. So they take this nebulous term called food sensitivity, and they apply it to things that any human can experience. Acne, dry skin, poor sleep, fatigue, muscle cramps, brain fog.
Leaky gut.
That's me. I get bloated after I eat certain meals. Well, did you eat 3 bowls of pasta? Things like that.
All right, so you get the idea. All right, so it is nonsense. I've explained why it's nonsense in the past. This video itself is more than 2 years old. So that means that, I try to get this stuff out to you guys real time. I've addressed it in many seminars in the past. I'm going to play for you now something from the Rob Reed podcast, which is also a few years old, specifically on allergies. And I want you guys to listen to what she calls the 3Ds and listen to what they are. If you listened to me during COVID more than 2 years ago, you heard me talk about all of these principles. So listen carefully what's happening here, because guys, when it comes to, you have to recognize allergies is an immune system response. So it's a response from the immune system. Unlike something like lactose, right? If you're drinking milk, you just lack the enzyme. There's a genetic component to that. When you're talking about allergies, you're talking about an immune response. When I was younger, had horrible allergies. I was told that I would need to take allergy shots like my father did until the day he died. When I went into the military when I was 19, I stopped taking allergy shots. And when I came back, I never resumed. I started to learn certain things about health, wellness, and nutrition. And now I can pet dogs. I can rake leaves. I can have things that I never used to be able to do without having the severe allergy attack that I used to have. Why is that? Because I know I've mastered my immune system, and I also know that I've mastered principles of these allergies and how to deal with them gradually, slowly, and over time. And this is available to everybody. People can actually learn to do this, but you need to get rid of the things that are really bothering your body in the first place and address some of the underlying stuff earlier rather than later. So preferentially, you start when you're a child and expose children the right way. So listen to this carefully.
So for the hygiene hypothesis, that's about dirt. That's about saying maybe we're so clean that our immune system forgot about getting exposed to good bacteria in our guts, good bacteria around our house, exposure with animals that we were meant to be evolving with.
So we've kind of become wimpy and soft in our modern era.
I'm going to give you examples of things that we know from epidemiological evidence that there's associations. For example, when the Berlin Wall came down and East and West Germany merged, they noticed that the people in East Germany that had been working more on farms and had been having more agrarian lifestyle had less asthma and allergies than the western part of Germany, which were mostly city. And so then they started these hypotheses about dirt, pollution not being good, activating allergies. We know that smoke and tobacco smoke in particular can increase your rates of allergies nasal by about fourfold. But we know that there's some good dirt. We know that getting exposed to dogs, the second D, early in life, maybe the first year of life, decreases your risk. So getting slobbered all over, perhaps by your dog, helps. So good dirt, not bad dirt. We don't want people to go back in time and get exposed to tetanus toxin. We don't want people to not have vaccines. Vaccines have not been associated with any allergic or asthma proclivity at all. So being clean is a good thing. Using antibiotics when you need to use them, using vaccines is key. Not getting exposed to tetanus is key. But having a dog, eating the right fibers, getting your gut in a good shape where good bacteria can grow in it is important to reduce the risk of
Whoa, what did you just say there? Getting the right fibers, getting the right bacteria in your gut? What? That, guys, how many times have we heard that in the UTC principles? Fiber. Why fiber? It's because fiber ferments. That is what feeds the bacteria. That's what feeds your bacteria. It's the short chain fatty acids that fiber ferments into that feeds the gut bacteria.
So there might be a microbiome link as well.
Very much a microbiome link, we think, but we don't know all the answers to that yet. So I couldn't tell you today this is the microbiome to take to be able to cure or prevent your food allergies. But we know that having good microbiome is important.
So that is a factor in the multi-factors.
One factor. That's right. Dirt, dogs, now dry skin. We know that dry skin, and perhaps due to a lot of detergents that we have in our society, we were very clean and we like to use detergents on all our clothes, but unfortunately, it's possible that because of that, a lot of the skin is breaking down in our infants more than it should be.
All right, how many times, those of you with eczema, how many times have I told you, how do you deal with it? I tell you guys, get into the ocean, get into the sunshine, and watch what happens. And if you can't get into the ocean, I tell you guys what to put in your bathtub in order to mitigate this problem, because it is dry skin that is a problem. So you get in the bathtub, you put certain minerals in there, and you bathe in the bathtub, right? And then you get out in the sunshine and watch what happens to your eczema. And then, of course, the most important thing is staying healthy from the inside out, because skin health is an extension of your gut, everybody. It's literally, your gut is on the outside of you. It's not on the inside of you, guys. It's not on the inside of you. It's a hole that passes through your mouth to your anus. It's on the outside. It's an extension of your skin. The health of your skin is an extension of the health of your gut and vice versa. So if you take care of your gut, you're going to take care of your skin. If you take care of your skin, you're going to be, in many ways, taking care of your gut. All right. So if you have an eczema problem, I promise you also have a gut problem. But at the end of the day, you can address a lot of these issues by getting into the sun and getting the right minerals on your skin. And why would that make sense? Well, because it has to do with this last D. What could it possibly be?
If we don't protect the skin enough, we will get cracks in the skin, and by exposing allergens to the skin, that will activate the immune system to become maladaptive.
Yeah, you mentioned that sometimes eczema is the first sign in an infant, and that leads to other things.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then vitamin D, another D. For example, Dr. Allen's research in Australia, where they don't have any supplementation for vitamin D in any of their food, and they slap to take care of skin cancer prevention, their levels of vitamin D were very low in Australia, and Katie and her colleagues think that that's one of the reasons why their increase in food allergy in Australia.
Vitamin D. Boy, we've never discussed vitamin D for the past 20 years at Fit for Life. So where do we see these things in the UTC manual? Well, we see them on page 40, where we address specifically certain supplements. There's only 3 that I go through, one of them being vitamin D. And then where do we talk about the gut and digestion and fixing the gut? We talk about that on page 63 for a full page, where we go through meticulous detail of what's going on and how digestion works. And then we visit vitamin D again and sunshine on page 65 and 66. We talk about sunshine and vitamin D for 2 pages. We fill that up with all kinds of research and interesting information that I'm showing you guys. And then we talk about the law of cure and the SAID principle, along with how to fix digestion and a bunch of steps that you can do on pages 79 and 80. Okay, the law of cure is another interesting topic in this whole conversation, which I won't get into right now. But then, where do we see things talking about the gut microbiome? Well, that would be on page 190, where we talk about the microbiota and the root cause of everything right up here. And what about dirt exposure and things of that? Well, you see right there on page 192, it says bolster your immune system. And it talks about, well, antibiotic use. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? We talk about Purell right here. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Talk about C-sections and breastfeeding for when you're talking about raising your children and infants and what you can do, because that is a microbiome issue. As soon as an infant is born into the world, that is their first exposure to microbes, and that is why it is now a practice in well-informed hospitals for doctors to wipe the mother's vagina with a cheesecloth and wrap the baby so that the baby has the mother's microbes wrapped around instead of the hospital room microbes, okay? We know that babies that are born via C-section are much more prone to allergies and immune system issues later on in life. So there it is in a nutshell, guys. All of it. All these are just another example of the treasure trove of information that the UTC offers to those who dare to challenge it. We just take the elephant and we tackle the fucking elephant in the room instead of listening to nonsense like food sensitivity tests. All right, everybody. Next UTC coming in the fall. Hopefully we'll have a lot of people come and change their lives for the better and show up and just, take the challenge on. That's why it's called the Ultimate Transformation Challenge. It's backed by science, evidence, and people who can stand in front of the room and say, I was once this person, and now I'm that person. I used to have these issues, and now I don't. I used to not be able to eat this, and now I can. I used to blah, 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 blah. I used to not be able to walk without a limp, and now I can. The UTC addresses not just food, it addresses the body, it addresses breathing, it addresses everything that you could possibly want to know about how to be strong and healthy and resilient. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the day.